Best of r/Tales from Tech Support episode 46. Used to be a hardware support technician in an international investment bank. A few years back. Spent one Thursday evening after business hours setting up 8 new workstations in a new bubble, an enclosure constructed by carpenters in the middle of an open office format, on a former trading floor, now used as corporate purgatory for wayward departments during large-scale rearrangements. So a team of auditors can get to work the following Monday. Friday morning, we get a notification from a business manager on the floor. There are only 7 workstations. They said 8. 7 is not 8. After convincing said BM that technicians can indeed count up to 8 provided neither hand is covered, we take a look at the affected area and, indeed, there are only 7 workstations. No evidence at all that there was an 8th one. The desk it was supposed to be on was bare, no peripherals, power supplies, anything. Almost like we never installed it. But we did, and we'll be damned if we're gonna get paid once to do a job twice. Plus, there's more important considerations working as IT in an investment bank. Missing PC means missing hard drive, and missing hard drive, even if it was freshly imaged, is enough to get a technician frog marched out the building that same day. You can assault an end user and they'd still give you at least a week's investigation, but this was serious. This is the kind of place where hard drives from PC swaps are regularly put in sealed evidence bags and put in cold storage for years on the chance that regulators might want to take a peek at them, and the auditors these PCs were destined for are important enough to get their own private area. So before panic set in, we decide to try and see if it's at least still in the building, and the quickest, though not the most comprehensive, way to check that is to see if it's still online. Ping the host name. The PC is online. We hand network operations its IP address and they give us a switch and port, but the switch is on a different floor. A trading floor. Curious. Tracing the line in the IDF gives us a desk location. Wait, I know the desk location. Emergency trousers. Emergency trousers is a known entity to IT hardware. We gave him that nickname after finding a spare pair of trousers nestled with his 2 trading PCs. Most end users will have a blazer or dress shoes at their desk for the occasional formality, but extra pants is something we presume you'd keep around if you were concerned about your reaction to particularly bad market conditions. And it appears leg coverings weren't the only things he was hoarding. Indeed, and it is we, for at this point the IT posse has grown to a line manager, 2 techs and a security guard, go to emergency trousers desk to find a suspiciously large number of monitors. And for a trading floor, you have to have a lot of monitors to become suspicious. Average setup for this firm is 6 or 7, split among 2 or 3 high-end full towers, connected through one of 3 types of KM switches of varying capability. Emergency trousers has 9, which is more than his allocated 2 PCs are meant to handle. A quick peek under his desk and, indeed, his 2 PCs are proud parents of a 3rd PC. Funny, that. Care to explain how that got there? I found it. You found it? Why did you take it? Nobody was using it. It's not yours. It belongs where it was. Okay, but can you wait until the end of next week? Now that is the cheek of an end user who knows full well he's on the right side of the ledger and we're not. But we're also not taking the fall for this. Security is embarrassed because they didn't notice an unauthorized individual skulking about after hours. IT is looking to make sure we have the same number of employees at the end of the day as at the start, and nobody is in the mood to let this slide. A quick huddle and back to the end user. It's going back now. Okay, fine, you take it. No, we're not touching it. If we touch it now, we're culpable. You put it back, since you were clearly competent enough to move it and set it up here. A further conversation with his line manager and emergency trousers is pulled from his desk to return and hook up an auditor's PC on a different floor. Security is lined up and given a collective slap in the face. Access rules tightened for exactly 30 days. Long enough to show force. Short enough that it ends right as people are getting annoyed at the new measures. IT gets to live another day. And according to his team members, Emergency trousers was pulled aside by his manager and given an admonishment and a slap on the wrist. We like your drive and hustle, but please steal for the bank, not from the bank. Thank you. Next. So, I had just been fired from my job as an analyst for a cloud IT as a service company, and was looking for a new job. I took the first one available to me, which was a computer repair technician at a location that is really a dream job for a lot of computer hardware nerds, which I will call Tiny Middle. One of the things that stuck out to me about this job was a line during the video training that, almost, literally stated, even if it means Tiny Middle takes a monetary loss, we will make the customer happy. Little did I know exactly how true this was. All names obfuscated for obvious reasons. $me, Danny DeVito in a fat suit, $Jim and $Matt, other technicians who worked in the shop with me, $Juan, the Apple technician A.K.A. I only work on Apple period, $M1, manager for the repair department, takes no crap, $M2, manager for cashiers, takes no crap, $M3, manager for sales, will bend when necessary, $SM, store manager, will assume the position and throw money at customers to make them happy, Canadian dollars, customer, $G, customer's girlfriend who has no speaking role in this performance. On to the first act of our play. No one will be seated. Canadian dollars. Hi, I bought this laptop from you guys a few months ago and it has stopped charging. The customer hands over a fairly expensive gaming laptop, and we commence with the standard troubleshooting. Try a different charger. See if it will power on at all. It does not. He said that it was working fine. Okay, probably a dead battery. Since we are already leaning towards a bad battery, and we know we would have to order a part for the bad battery anyway and manufacturer requires a thorough inspection of the device with pictures included, we exchange pricing for diagnostics, pay up and let him know we'll contact him in up to 48 hours with an update. I take the laptop back to my bench and start tearing it down. I go to remove the battery and notice something very odd. I look to see if $Matt or $Jim were there. They had stepped out, so I asked $Juan to take a look. Y'all. The battery connector was hot glued to the connector on the motherboard, and when we applied the slightest amount of pressure with tweezers to see how glued in it was, the connector itself lifted off of the solder points, and a bit of the PCB itself lifted off as had been torn at some point. $Juan, yeah, he's effed. You need to get with M1 to see what we need to tell him. I performed due diligence. The laptop was not just a couple of months old, because they never are. It was a couple of years old and the warranty was expired. Doesn't matter though, the manufacturer, Tracker's warranty does not cover damage like this. Furthermore, since I know Tiny Middle would want to know for sure that anyone in their right mind wouldn't ship anything hot glued, shout out to Malwart's underpowered computers with their hot glued USB 3.0 connectors. We pulled a used model from the floor and sure enough, no one's stupid enough to do that. $M1 is out for the day and $M2 is in a meeting, and I already know what the answer is, so I call him. $me, hey, this is $me from Tiny Middle. I just wanted to follow up and let you know that we see obvious damage to the PCB around where the battery connector was soldered, and obvious damage to the solder itself. This would not be covered by any warranty, and even if the battery were fine, a new motherboard would cost $XXX plus $XXX for us to install. Canadian dollars. Okay, we'll come in and take a look. I leave the laptop deconstructed on my bench for when they come in and go about my day. 15 minutes before closing, they mosey on in with another laptop and I show them the damage. Canadian dollars. Well, I don't know how that happened. I've never even had this opened. But I need the data from here on this computer because I have a presentation in International City in 3 days. I need this now. $me. We can get that transferred over. It'll be $XXX and we can have it done within 48 hours. Fast forward past the payment and whatnot. A couple of days later, he comes and collects both laptops. The data from the first now transferred over and lets us know he'll be back in a couple of weeks to resolve this. I text $M1 and let him know what happened, and naturally promptly forget about the encounter. Act 2. A couple of weeks later, I come back from my lunch break and see on the CCTV that we had available in our shop to watch the front Canadian dollars, $G, $Jim, $Matt, $M1, $M2, $M3, and $SM having a one-sided shouting match. Canadian dollars. That fat son of a whatever broke my laptop and I want IT fixed now. I already lost out on absurd amount of money because he refused to transfer my data after he broke my absurd amount of money. Dollar laptop. $me. $Juan. What's going on? $Juan. He's trying to say that you intentionally broke his laptop so that he couldn't make his presentation. Oh good, so he's crazy. At this revelation, I did what life had taught me to do when confronted with crazy and hid in the Apple area with $Juan until they left all of the powers that became by and I asked what we were going to do. $SM. Can you prove you didn't break it? $me. WTF. No, it's not like we take videos of us working, but $Juan can vouch that this is how this laptop came in. And I did transfer his data. $SM. I'm not worried about the data. $M1. Take care of it. I wasn't updated on this for weeks. The only answer I got was I'm handling it from $M1, and I thought my job was on the line. Come to find out, the store ordered and ate the cost of a new motherboard, including processor and whatnot, a new battery, and a new charger, and $SM issued him a fat gift card to get him to not talk about this. I didn't lose my job, but nope the F out for almost a 150% increase in salary working in actual IT ASAP. At least they called him in to pick it up when I wasn't there. TL. Dr. Jimmy cracked corn, blamed it on the corn stalk, so the farmer gave him free corn for life. I have so many stories from Tiny Middle that would probably be better suited for Tales from Retail, but they're all computer repair / build related. Thank you. Next. Q a standard laptop re-imaging with the user. We set everything up, get all necessary programs installed, set up facial recognition etc. Now we need to connect to the corporate network. Me. Alright, so it's asking for your USARID and password. User. Okay, I'll just need to make a quick call to my receptionist. Me. Oh, sure, no worries. User browses through the contacts on his phone and starts a call. No answer. Asterisk. User. Let me try my manager. I'm scrolling through r / talesfromtechsupport and I'm not paying much notice to this older gentleman currently wasting my time. Asterisk. User. Oh hi Simon. Sorry to bother you. Just a quick one. Could you remind me of my password again, please? My eyes go wide and my heart sinks. Two things I didn't realize could happen at the same time. Asterisk. User. Hang on. I can't hear you very well. I'll put you on loudspeaker. The user's manager proceeds to read out his password to a room full of people. Asterisk. Me. Sorry. Do you mind if I speak to him for a second? Asking was a formality. I've already taken the phone out of user's hand before I finish that sentence. Asterisk. Me. Hi Simon. You've just revealed user's password to a room full of people. This is a breach of security. Sharing passwords goes against the corporate acceptable use policy that all users sign upon joining the organization. I'll be writing up a security incident and passing that on to the data protection and security teams. Have a good day. I hang up before I say something I'll regret. Me. User. How many people have you given your password to? User. Oh, the receptionist, my manager, and his manager. Maybe a few colleagues. The problem is, I just keep forgetting it, so I get one of them to sign into my account and print out emails a few times a week. I don't think I've signed into my own account in about 4 years. TLDR. User hasn't signed into account in 4 years. Get colleagues to sign in on his behalf and print out emails for him. Edit. Changed Q to Q. Thank you. Next. LTLFTP. Not quite the usual, but here's a stylized version of this afternoon. With lots of spelling errors I'm sure. Level 1. You're drinking light beer because it's a typical afternoon and customers may still show up at the office. You start a typical Mobo replacement by backing off all the screws and fuck, the backplate won't. Oh the damn battery is in the way. So you remove the battery and back out the last screw. An easy mistake to make, so no big deal on 2. Level 2. You're still drinking light beer but let's get on with it. The damn backplate still won't come off. At this point a small devil appears on your shoulder. It's telling you to rip the plate off. But true to good form, you break out your precision tools, find your spudger. You begin spudgering the plate off, but level 3 now you've got the good ale out. The goddamn thing just won't budge. You know you've backed out all the screws, it's hung up on something, but you can't figure out what. At this point most of the other techs are milling about, no one is aware of the situation you're in. But if you don't get on with it they will, so when that devil on your shoulder tells you to yank on it, you do. And by some miracle it works, so on to level 4. You're now drinking scotch. You've spent the last hour taking pictures of this thing while you take it apart and the devil has you cheerleading for captive screws. Level 5. The devil is now tending bar. You've spent the last hour putting this thing back together while arguing against captive screws. Level 6. You're halfway through a pan-galactic gargle blaster when you realize you're going to have to re-image the damn thing because BitLocker has hit a critical error. The devil is now desperately trying to convince you to chuck this thing out the nearest window. Level 7. You're drinking the blue fluid normally used for cleaning combs. It's just shy of sunrise. The devil is passed the fuck out under a copy of your yesterday's want ads. And at this point when you finally finish wrestling with the software, you say to yourself, I will never replace one of these motherboards, ever again. Thank you. Next. This story outlines the most unethical business interaction I ever had coupled with the most challenging tech and design support interactions, and I am sharing to vent and also for any feedback about what you would do in this situation. I was running this big data mining project from old books, scanned to PDFs, in multiple languages to map it and share in an exhibit. We did. And outside of the client being a nightmare, it was an awesome project. I run a startup social enterprise. We have a massive amount of demand, so we really need a bit of funding to scale our capacity. A foundation approached me about this work and I was like, great, thank you. Next. I have collected so many gems over my dozen years as an IT professional. Let's start with one of the relatively recent ones. At the time I was handling the critical order fulfillment for Layer 0 and 1 services of one of the largest telecoms in Europe. That was about 3 years ago. The customer for this particular order was the Russian branch of one of the largest car companies out there. Cost, OP me, CE cool, on-site, engineer, stab bender customers IT. Kudos to those that recognize the reference. Let me start by saying that work in Russia is not at all easy or quick. In almost all cases the equipment we needed to ship was held for weeks, if not months, at costumes. If the work that needs carrying out was out of the way, the roads were simply not usable during winter, so the on-site engineers would have to wait till GD spring, and on more than few occasions I had to deal with on-site engineers that defiantly tried fighting off the cold with vodka. So after a couple of months of various roadblocks, as described above, we are finally at the last stretch of the journey. We had all network equipment installed on the client's site, all patching completed, and the only thing left was to have the service provisioned and tested. My company had a policy to provision wavelength services regardless of the size right before the testing. Surprise, surprise, we are sending traffic but not seeing light on their end. I should point out that since the client was really pushing for quick testing, they placed a loop on their equipment. Easy, right? The patching must be messed up. So another week comes and goes with me trying to somehow communicate with a DC without actual English speakers. They said they are English speakers but they were not really. Anyways, somehow I managed to get them to place a physical loop and lo and behold we are seeing light. I managed to get CE to go see what's up on the client's end and he says all seems fine. Our equipment is hooked up but yep, we are defiantly not getting back anything from them. Naturally, and because FML the client was not able to assist us with a test that day, so I scheduled a new CE visit, poor guy, and got one of our wavelength specialists to jump on the call. We have tried everything. Thank you. Next. Righto, so this is my first post, so be nice, P. For this post we have to go back to my school, which I'll just call the School of Boarding, where I happen to be one of the 2 computer literate people in the whole student body. This means that despite having left this school at the end of 2019, I still get many calls for tech support from the students and staff I used to help. I got a bunch of stories but I ain't spilling all my beans in one go. Recently I was sitting in bed watching some good old Leon flicks when I get a message from one of the said students who will call attack whale. Don't ask. He started a call about his laptop which was having an intermittent charging problem, and we turned on both our cameras and had a chat about life and what we were getting up to while he was showing me the problem he was having. I asked the usual questions like, is it plugged in? Is the switch on at the wall, and if you juggle it does it start working, which to all of the above his reply was no. Slightly puzzled, I asked him if his laptop had come up with plugged in not charging when he clicked on his battery, because I have had this issue before and it is a pain in the butt. But alas, there was no luck. I got him to open AnyDesk, it's just better TeamViewer, then went into his device manager and uninstalled the drivers for his battery, which made him freak out because the battery icon decided to not exist anymore. After a restart he still had the issue and it was starting to get dark, which was when all the pieces started to come together. He turned on his bedroom light and I commented on the nice ornate light bulb he had his phone camera set up facing. This prompted him to start turning the light on and off frantically, saying that it shouldn't be that dim. That was when it dawned on me. I asked him to check the other lights in his house and my theory was confirmed. A very rare occurrence in the country I live is for a brownout to occur. For those who don't know, a brownout is essentially like a power cut, but instead of the power fully going out, the voltage drops to a level where certain things start to become affected. Due to our power being 240 V, it was apparent in his light that the voltage was lower, which was causing his laptop power adapter to have a fit. After explaining to him that his house wasn't going to burn down, we had a laugh, and as we composed ourselves his power was restored to the full glory of 240 V, which caused his laptop to instantly start charging. TLDR, friend had laptop that didn't charge. Turns out there was a brownout, explained above, and there was no problem in the first place. I think the moral of the story here, folks, is use a camera when you're doing tech support over the phone.